points. Let's see who comes out ahead.
Yeah, we do see both teams running together as a 5-man ball. I know for sure Antic want to spice this game up. They want to get level 1s rolling. They want to get snowballing because they don't want to hit mid-game against like a 3-item card, this 3 items of Philios with like Enchanter, as we do see Nort coming up over the wall.
30 seconds until
Ooh, the blind hook. He believed, he knows that somebody should have been there, but Guapi is, yeah, he's out of there.
Yeah, I'm curious to how Antic are going to navigate the early game. They really need to be able to find gold leads somewhere. They need to find, well, like ideally you would be using your mid to move to bot side and like dive on stacked waves and stuff, but it's very hard for like Nautilus and Jinx in the 2v2 to find the push onto Aphelios Lulu. It's all about like the jungle pressure, the gank setup, and you know how well they synergize with Foreigner.
And it just sort of, it comes to me at least, that bot lane matchup. It's almost like the more things change, the more they stay the same, right? We had a little bit of a blip on the radar. It's like, oh, let's play a whole bunch of Senate games. Oh, we've had Zeri meta for a while. But no, we've always reverted back to, it's Aphelios and Jinx again. AFK till 2 items, guys. Like, that's what we're looking at here. And yeah, as you mentioned, I think really for Direwolves, if they can hit level 6 quite quickly. We saw how keen Guapi was to try and leave lane. Well, Talia, Pantheon, basically the same in terms of just leaving lane and forcing a fight.
Yeah, honestly, like I personally was a big what's the word? Player. I'll just say player of this play style. You know, like the whole set up your jungler, like leave your lane, enable your team to play really well. I thought it was like very good in the meta. I think like the meta has come around again, where bot lane is the role, and pretty much you need to get everyone down there to make sure your AD carry is happy. So it's good to see that Direwolves is adapting well to the meta. And, you know, playing around their Superstar Katsuri as they do hit level 2.
They do, yeah. Draco just literally walks up to them, was waiting to try and see if he could bait out a reaction from Katsuri, but unfortunately takes a far bit too much damage, which is going to decide he should just back away. I suppose if nothing more, as you mentioned, right, you talk about some of the playstyles you have with the Twist of Fate, Galio, you know, the Rise, all those of just wanting to leave lane ASAP and try and benefit everybody else. Should make it quite interesting to see how they're playing, because Guapi is in trouble and is just out of range, you'd have to say, if the wind becomes lightning, because he can't just sidestep it simply, but Mochi was waiting.
Toronto does walk in, he's not scared at all, and you know, we're seeing normal full clears coming out of both junglers. I don't think we'll see much action in the early game based on Foreigner starting on that ward there. It was a nice ward out of Guapi to spot him on his chickens level 1, so they know where he is pathing to. And I think that we're just going to see, you know, standard lanes until probably, you know, the waves start bouncing or like first dragon spawns.
Let's see then what really will take place here, because obviously there's a lot of protection that needs to go around, making sure that the Karthus can flourish. You need to make sure that your lane states are pretty stable and that they aren't falling victim to any deaths as well. Those deaths obviously open up the invitation for roams to take place, deny those camps, and really slow down the pace of this Karthus. As you said, right on the money, is going to go for that Dark Harvest. First strike getting touched is, I mean, he's not going to opt for that, where that satisfying Requiem hits and suddenly you just got a boatload of gold. In the end, both teams will just decide that we'll push a wave, we'll respond back, and we'll just base.
Yeah, that's really cheeky out of Antic bot lane there to like overstay and try and get like the cheese, but then, you know, Direwolves go with the base and they just crash the wave. As we do see a fight over the pushing wave in mid.
Yep, jumping back into the mid lane is Foreigner, but he doesn't find really what he likes, because Guapi says, yeah, I'll take that trade. I'll actually bully you out, and I've barely lost any HP, whereas for you, you're forced back into your jungle and, yeah, back to base.
This is one of Karthus' biggest strengths, is like he clears so much faster than every other jungler, so he's just able to, you know, counter gank over and over and over. So he's just gonna like clear his camps, run to a lane that is susceptible, and just like counter gank, be there with like more items or like an XP lead. As we just see the fight happening in top, does Darnus have the damage?
Yeah, does Darnus have the damage is the big one. He's gonna maybe wait for them all to group up for the AoE. No, he just takes one blob down and says, that's enough. I've popped your passive, and I've wanted a bit of jungle attention, as once he does pop his head in there. Doesn't drop any ward. He's just letting his presence be known.
Yeah, pretty comfy early game from Direwolves. They just have, you know, so much scaling and not much is happening on the Antic side. You know, Foreigner was trying to find something in mid lane to free up his Ahri to be able to impact the map, but it's just like good job from Mochi and Guapi to be able to, you know, communicate that and shut it down. I'm really curious to see like where the first Pantheon ult will go this game. I feel like top will be low, you know, because this is one of those lanes where you just fight to the death, but I feel like using resources away from bot lane would be a mistake.
Do you think Pantheon falls into the same argument as like a Nocturne, where that first ultimate you kind of live and die by it?
Yeah, definitely. I think that like Nocturne would like be able to have if you remember like old solo lane Nocturne, like he's fine like farming because he clears the wave so quick. But Pantheon gets to a point where like he's not going to be able to like fight back in lane so much because the Q poke, the electric Q poke coming out of the Ahri would just become way too much. So getting freed up on the map and like that first ult, being able to snowball, like get a Dirk is going to be so big for him.
Let's see if he can reach that point, because Incursio is certainly keeping him humble for the meantime, dropping him down low to 50%, baiting out whether or not he'd like auto-click his way into that charm. Level 6 is the real kicker. It's when these two comps do really start to come online. Found there in the mid lane, can't be too far behind his Mochi, and I'm sure then we'll really start to see them force a little bit of aggression more so in lane to say, okay, what can we find, what can we rotate to, and how can we snowball to try and shut down Antic, finding that late game condition?
Yeah, a lot of it's like how much can Antic get in the early game before the Karthus comes online? Like how many dragons are we going to get? How many grubs are we going to get? Is that going to like bridge the the comp strength when it comes to the mid game team fights? And like how comfortable will they be in that situation?
Certainly is a risky game, right? We've certainly seen before, even when we have like a Cassidy in the game, for example, right? How much are you willing to sacrifice? What is the golden number? You down 5,000 gold? Okay, are you panicking yet? Probably not. You still believe that that late game condition is coming around. And I suppose for Antic, they're thinking, well, we've already found ourselves one dragon. Let's just poke our head into bot lane and see if we can try and get a bit of aggression found there. Maybe a summoner, maybe even a cheeky kill. But Katsuri says, if you hook me, you will pay the price. And well, Raze is looking a little bit worse for wear now.
Did you give away the grubs? Karthus does have access to the ulti now, so like he's got through the hardest part of the game, and he's got access to the new item. Forgot its name, sorry, but it's gonna speed up his clear even more. So he's just gonna keep snowballing, keep cycling his camps. Just build his gold lead up a bit more and become that powerhouse in the mid game.
I think if we ever forget that item name, we're just going to call it the AP Balmy Cinder, and everybody else sort of like know what we're talking about, but at the same time be like, but what is the item caster? You're meant to know this. You're meant to be the voice of reason. But yeah.
I have this problem where like I call items for what they look like. Like to me, that's pot of greed. That's pot of greed. Yeah. Or like when you remember like the old Spectre's cow. Like I used to call that raincoat.
Raincoat. Like, hey, people know what you mean. It's the same as what you say. Oh, yeah. He's used his Q ability. Caster. Tell me what it's called. Nah, we all know what the Q is. Well, here goes Poppy. Instantly dropping into the mid lane. Frono hanging out of vision. Says, good luck trying to get that kill. Nice little cheat with the TP back into lane, you would say, but is unable to find that first blood just yet. As Zoronis is continuing to make sure that Mayfan's life is all about trying to find those globes for the life back. It is constantly being pushed back.
Yeah, a bit of a wet noodle fight in top lane, but that was a nice old mid. The big thing coming out of it is he finds a window to get priority. So he's going to get a ward down, he's going to find himself another reset if he wants to go grab a Dirk or something. But it's just that bit of freedom he has from the constant poke coming out of the Ahri.
It's only getting a bit worse, right, as the game goes on. The Ahri ever so mobile to try and match that off the Pantheon, but also just so supreme in finding those initial picks that if you roam and it isn't the right one, you may just get lights out in a heartbeat right there. Next dragon obviously a couple of minutes away, so I think that really does favour Direwolves, right? If they're looking to try and find their moments to get a few items online. We talk about Karthus already finding that for the accelerated clear. No doubt is wanting to try and get that Dark Seal as quickly as possible too, to really start farming up not only the assists, but yeah, all the damage to make sure that when he does poke his head into lane, it is a guaranteed kill.
Yeah, curious to see when Direwolves will start to link up. I think it'll be like the first item when they will finally start to play like together as a mid jungle, move together around the map, create some pressure for their bot lane, because at the moment it's just Mochi's farming his jungle. He's like, guys, do your best. I'm still scaling. Like, we're not in a bad game state right now. The gold lead is completely even, but I think like the map control for Antic right now is, it's quite one-sided, as we do see the pick going onto mid lane here.
Yeah, looking for the charm, not going to connect. Guapi going left and right, but then across the wall goes Draku, baiting out. Will you hit the hook? Yes, he certainly will. Knocking up as well with the primed and ready to go Xin Zhao. The shield goes out, the ignite is ticking. He jumps back in, but he jumps to his death. And just before the 10-minute mark, Antic finally break the deadlock.
Yeah, I think Guapi was baiting there a bit too hard. He did have access to the E, but he popped it a bit late, so he took way too much damage. It was a good CC chain by Draku as well. That's what secured the kill in the end there.
Let's see if Direwolves can accomplish anything as a result, as out goes the Moonlight Vigil, dropping Raze down to 40%. Mochi on the roam and protected by Shinky on vision, so they're fully aware of this one, as Draku Goes back to his AD carry to protect. But it's looking like they're hanging around here. And Cursu is going to be told, you cannot recall because they're forcing a massive crash here. And will they overstay?
Strucker does decide to throw the hook in there. I'm glad that one missed.
Yeah, me too.
Investigate for him. But yeah, I think they're safe. A really good fog from Incursio there to like just walk into the bot river, recall on a ward, and make sure that his bot lane, you know, feels a bit protected there.
Oh, Raze, he's just not allowed to go back to base. Really well done by Mochi, who's just going to flash on his head and say, you will just fall on down to the Skittles. If that's not enough, make it another. As in comes Guapi as the Pantheon, and now it's the 4-man collapse onto Draku, who misses yet another hook. Maybe this one is one that could have helped, but he doesn't need the protection because the wave is gone. The tower stands strong, and, well, it's just not enough damage with the Dragon there spawning.
Yeah, they know that like going for the extra kill isn't really worth it. The Dragon is the most important thing. Like they need to deny the soul stacking because that's one of the things that will match the early game. Like ANC having access to soul is something that they really don't want, so it's really good that they're prioritizing the Dragon here instead of, you know, overextending for the dive when they know cheapies are on the game or Incursor is missing on the map.
Yeah, certainly not worth the risk, but this is going to be a trading of different objectives whilst Direwolves pick up the second Dragon. It's going to be Antic looking to get themselves involved with the Void Grips. So 3 went to Direwolves, Simulate. The other 3 are going to go to Antic. A much more balanced affair, but I say that as a fight breaks out in the mid lane. Draku basing and running down mid, knocks him up, and Incursor, it's as simple as him dashing on through and flashing to guarantee that the orb comes back to get the kill.
Yeah, really nice lane gank there from Draku. I think that's a very underrated thing from a lot of players is like the lane gank angle. We'll see if Antic do want to go for the dive here though.
Let's see if they can find much more because Foreign is looking for the kill onto Shinky as he comes out of the polymorph. The Wild Growth goes up. There's another CC. Just look how much, you know, ability for them to find those picks. You think you've done enough. You've burned everything under the sun, and Antic still have more tools.
Yeah, this is what I was really afraid about in the draft is like the Nautilus has way too many targets he can hook this game. It's not, usually you see Nautilus like, oh, like I'm hooking a frontline, I'm hooking a melee support, but he just has access to the all the range champs that are on Daiwo's team as Katsuri does walk back on the turret with no flash, but he does have the double TPs coming from his solo lane, so we'll see if Antic do respect that.
And likewise, they're going to say, maybe it's a bit too much to bite off on this occasion. We will just settle for denying the blue buff away from the Carpet, which is a massive deal here, but will Guapi allow him to get out of base or get out of that roam scot-free? That is the question. And Cursor rocks up for the fight. Out goes the charm. The damage and the electrocute procking him low. The shield, again, you would argue maybe coming out a little bit too late as he's already down to 20%, but he gets the kill onto Foreigner and he still survives. Now to turn attention onto Draku. The Jinx rocket, not enough even then to get the kill. So I'm sorry, I was not familiar with your game. He gets the double kill. He gets away. And now the Requiem to try and snipe Incursio, who stands still and says, nah, not enough.
And in the meantime, Mayfan has TP top to zone Raze off the wave, so he's just losing all this farm. Katsuri's getting access to all these plates, and at the same time, Zora's getting access to a gold bot, but you would way prefer this on your Achilles right now.
Certainly would. Happy days for them. 2 kills found in the mid lane. Katsuri left to do as he wants, with those plates falling on down in about 30 seconds, so even more gold injected into his back pocket as a TP is there to back up that bot lane, and we still continue to rotate around top. 4 members strong. They look towards Draku. He tries it in with the slappy hands as Mayfan blindly jumps in to figure out where Foreigner may be lurking, but Incursor across the wall, Spirit rushing into their face. Wild Growth knocks them up. Mochi low. The chompers are good. The damage is there. It's 2 found so far. Make it 3. Mayfan, he's going to pop his defensive. There is the passive, and Raze surely the benefactor of this one.
Yeah, honestly, this is a really nice TP. I think Daiwas were just overstaying there. They didn't have access to nearly the combat power that Antic had coming out of base with ults up, and it's just really easy resets for Razor.
Yeah, a bit of an overextend, as you say. It's a case of doing too much with too little on those respawn timers. We'll run it back again, because initially it looks like Foreigner's being caught out of position, but then just a dash across the wall.
Yeah, this is honestly just really good positioning from Draku, like throwing the ult over the wall, finishing off the Lulu, and like Incursor with the TP flank, finding all the deception onto pretty much every member on the enemy team there. And that damage in the early game is quite insane.
Another replay, and back into another fight, as this one might be a bit of another wet noodle, as support and jungle say, alright, you've spotted me, vision will not be planted, you can do as you please. At this point, Elliot, would you say, having been familiar with this style of gameplay, do you think Direwolves are still in a good position, or do you think Antic have done enough to try and say, we've given you your little leads, but your Carthus is still not much of a menace?
Oh, Antic have definitely done enough. I think that like they have gold onto the right carries. Like Ari does have the items to be able to, you know, pick out those squishies if they overextend in the wrong positions of the map. I think that they're very comfortable with how the game state is, but we saw the gold lead that Antic had last game and where that ended up for Direwolves.
That's a good point. It certainly is. Katsuri, the focus, going to be one trailing behind as he looks to try and buy it his time. As Zonis jumps on in. Once again, there's the wild growth, but it's onto the Carpus this time, but Katsuri is still the focus. And the Rift Arrow gets left to its own devices. Yes, it's been taken down by Guapi, but he dies in the process. Race with a double before finds himself another as they now look to take down what remains of that top lane tower. A couple of auto attacks from the lads, and that one's gone. And same for the fate of their bot lane too. Katsuri does whatever he can, but with any CDs available now for the Lulu, he is just a sitting duck. And what can Mayfun do? He's got no passive. He's been zapped. He's slowed. He can slingshot away. He may be the only one surviving.
Yeah, this is just snowballing from, I think Dai was going for way too much. Like, it's hard to recognize because you have like a Pantheon, you have a Zac, you want to fight like right now in your bottom spikes, but they need to not be playing for objectives. They need to be playing to secure waves and camps and scale. Like, it's just very easy for Antic to just walk in like late to an objective like this, have a TP flank, and just pretty much demolish the team fight. Like, this wasn't even close. You see Soren's just zoning 3 people here. And he has no armor, it's just a complete magic resist build, and he's still able to just zone the AD carry away. It just goes to show like the combat prowess difference right now.
Yeah, the state of the game, as you say, it's bit of a disaster in that regard. I think Guapi dies for the Herald. I think he did successfully pick it up just before he fell on down. We'll see in a second anyway. There it is. So at least they've got that going for them to try and buy a little bit of time around this next fight, out of one into another in terms of, okay, what do we have? Someone to check. Flash is soon to be all up and available. Katsuri, the one you'd really be keeping your eye on, but Draku's thread the needle. He's found the hook on towards Shinky. In jumps Mayfun. Maybe a bit too early, so it just gives Raze the ability to get excited a little bit too early as well. He's on another double into double again. He is stacking them up like it's ever too easy, and well, now Katsuri is surrounded by everybody, so he gets cute with it. Flashing does not find the damage onto Nkeri, so just out of range. Same for the Charm, and now it's a horror game of like, okay, who wants to step up and who can land a skill shot?
Yeah, I mean, this is just what I said before. Like, they just need to chill out and stop starting objectives, but they decide to go run it back, start another objective, and get clean wiped by Antic.
Yeah, well, I suppose I've really answered my own question now as to have Antic done enough, because seemingly they really have. Direwolves giving them the proving grounds in which they can showcase just how strong they are. And yeah, I mean, see Direwolves starting this one up. They think they've got all angles covered, but everybody's flanking. They find the moments to strike, and yeah.
Yeah, like, I think it's saying when your team can run over a Carthage passive and dive the rest of your team, like what the game state is. I think that the Jinx is just out of control right now. When he's able to find like that one reset in a team fight, it's just like, it's lights out for Direwolves.
Raze had enough of saying, I'm not going to be the one to play lethality anymore. Get me on a crit mage, or rather get me on a crit AD carry, and let me showcase just how good I am. There's a reason there are 6 titles underneath my belt. I'll show you what I'm about, and whilst this does become a bit of a comedy at the very end there of how long it takes to take down Katsuri, it does get done in the end. Up by 6,000 gold. TP coming in to try and protect, but Guapi is only to be surrounded by 3, and is not going to find any success in the side lanes. Meanwhile, Raze, oh my god, he is he's very lucky to be alive.
Alright, no more Varus, no more lethality chance, guys.
It's crit only.
Crit only. I learned my mistake.
But he's hit that point, right? I mean, he's got the Infinity Edge. I mean, you look at Katsuri, he's got triple daggers. Dagger in my heart, because he's not found the same success as game 1. He's 0-4 tally. It's so sad, but also so sad for Mochi, who's denied the kill onto Draku down to only 20 HP. That is frustration.
We'll see how much Antic want to stay here for. Like, the respawns are coming out of Direwolves. We do have access to the Pantheon ult. We'll see if they do want to engage here.
Yeah, multiple members that are low, so Guapi is looking for it. Flash, pounce, go for Raze. Can he get the kill? Him alone, it's not enough because Raze flashes out of range and gets excited again. Oh man, it's the hard force, and that really does feel like the final nail in the coffin to say that was all we had. If we can't kill him then, we're never going to be able to kill him.
Yeah, that was their one window to find something back into the game when they were sitting on so much gold and, you know, low on health, but it was just really easy. As we do see the replay here for the 2v1, I assume Raze has done a really good job spacing him. They just crit him 3 times. Bye-bye.
There's no way he 1v2s like this, man. Ah, what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive.
Just RNG. Unlucky. Can't blame him.
He just rolled the dice better. He just rolled the dice better. Well, 10-1. What a polarity difference, right? 10-1 versus the 0-4 champion in terms of the Aphelios night and day from game 1 to 2. Here's the focus right now in the mid lane as he gets swarmed around by multiple different members from Antic. Really keen to shut him down for the 5th time this game. But with it being 20 kills to Antic in as many minutes, it's a case of saying, okay, this time we're close to that 10k lead. This time can we close it out in a much more commanding fashion to end week 1 with a smile on our face.
Yeah, and it's also good to see from Antic that they weren't like, oh, we need to get rid of this Aphelios. Like, he was way too strong in the first game, let's ban it out. They've run it back game 2 with a better draft into it, and it's just not finding the same success.
Certainly isn't. Guapi surrounded by 4 members. He jumps in and tries to get 1 kill, and he is successful in doing that, but that's all he's going to find on this occasion. Is it's another kill for Raze. Make it end, Tally. He drops the rocket. Katsuri wasn't even low, and it's enough to nearly get him to lethal. Thankfully for him, there's a bit of fruit inside the base that'll help him get back to base that much quicker. But they just keep bleeding so much in their ability to try and defend.
Yeah, and like, shout out to Incursio again. I think he's been like the unsung hero of this series. He's having really solid performances in both games, like finding charms onto key targets in his team fights, and really setting up his CC or his damage from his team.
Certainly has been a bit of a standout performance for him, and I think you'd be right in looking at this roster and saying that he would be the weakling out of all these members. Maybe there's an argument for Foreigner as well, but recency would show that Foreigner's been in the league quite active. But when you've got the likes of Raze, Dracu, and Zonus on there, it's hard not to have the fingers pointed at you. So to come out and showcase that, yeah, I've got the weight, that also needs a respect band thrown towards it. But I can now play the RE2, and it looks effortless transitioning from one to the other. It's a promising start.
Maybe he's just holding himself back by playing Assassins in solo queue.
True. He's like, I got Challenger anyway. It doesn't really matter, right? Like, what am I playing for anymore?
As I just see the Baron setup, I assume this is going to be a quick engage.
Yeah, something seems to be the case, doesn't it? As Guapi once again, every single time a fight's taking place, it is that man, the one leading the line, but he's never got any backup, and that's the major concern for me. There's a major disconnect between him and Mayfan, who once again is forced to just flash, slingshot away to safety, and the rest of the team is trailing behind. But Mochi, separated from the herd, is going to be shredded on down to gift Raze his 12th.
See what Direwolves want to do here? They like want to walk around and try like pseudo contest Baron. Looks like they're just going to give it. I think if Antic get this Baron, the next push they do is going to be game closing.
I don't really think there's much left in the tank to try and protect their base with 7 structures down. You've got a Jinx that is so far ahead of the pace that it really is Direwolves defending their base. I mean, their mid lane have already been down. Makes it quite easy for them to be stuck inside there, but they're just going to play this one nice and systematically, escort in that top lane that's been primed and ready to go, and say, well, if you force a fight here, we end you inside your base. That is the GG.
See what they want to do here. Dracu can pretty much hook any target he wants to, and he goes for the minion. It's a great choice. Round that one back. But I think this is very easy to close out for Antic. They just have to go slow, hit the towers with their range advantage. Direwolves is forced to be in a position where they have to engage like this.
Yeah, that's what they do. It's a bit of desperation for them. So in goes Mayfan, unable to find anything he wants when he starts to get bouncing. In goes Guapi again, but just too early, too disconnected. That's been the big mainstay of this one. And as soon as that one casualty happens, it is just lights out for the Direwolves as Antic just steamroll them. Absolutely snowball into this team fight. And look, they do lose a few in the process. Yes, Raze does die, but they've done the damage. 2 inhibitors are down. It's delayed the game from ending again, but there's no doubt that Antic are in the commanding position.
A bit too high. You know, Dracu keeps denying these slingshots here, which is really good, but I think he's going to go down. Cursor doesn't have the mana to be able to help him here.
Might be a slow burn here as he's going to have to wait for this one. The hook going out, the slingshot trying to protect. He goes for the flash. He really wants to protect himself. Hook into another. A little bit of fruit. There's the slappy hands. And Cursor says, give me a bit of fruit. There's a charm. Turn it around. Passive. Ooh. Weaving auto attacks like we're laning again. Does he have the hook? No. Oh, the great chase eventually comes to an end.
Yeah, just a bit of fun there from Antic. You know, like they're diving over Carthus passive, which is we see Raze fall down there. We're diving the Fountain by accident, which takes out Zorus. It's probably the only thing that's going to do damage to him at this point in the game. But I assume like after this reset, the next push it'll be lights out for Direwolves.
I'm sure also in Cursor's like, yo, I have no mana and I have 25 stacks. I kind of don't want to int that. Like, I don't want to lose my stacks. Try live, wait, you're living? Oh, I've got a bit of a charm. No, it's done and dead. I think for me, the weird thing is that like Drakes are just not that valued. I mean, these fights are just the main focus.
Yeah, I do see this happening a lot. It's like they're getting ready to set up for the objective and then a fight starts, which ends up in them going to another point of the map because they're trying to get as much gold as possible. So we're not really seeing like the fights happen around objectives, but more so before they actually spawn. And that's why we're not seeing a lot of priority, because you're just able to take so much of the map. The enemy team is dead.
Let's see what ANC can do. They've got only a few seconds left remaining off that initial Baron buff. And they're going to have to say, all right, you are well and truly stuck inside your base with all 3 inhibitors down. That mid one about to spawn in 30 seconds. But that might not be required at this point, because yet again, it is a isolated out engaged source as Mayfan falls victim to that surrounding pressure from Antic. They're looking to try and put a bow on it, Tally. They're looking to do it now.
Yeah, I think this is going to be pretty easy picking for them. Like, Incursor is just going to find access with the charm here. Yeah. Easy kills. They are going forward, but it's quite hard to get on Raze here.
It's quite hard to get onto Raze, and Incursor is burning. Eventually he does fall on down. That's a nice one for Mochi, but he's dead, so that's all he's going to be able to contribute on this occasion. Double kill again. It seems to be the key feat here for Raze on the Jinx. Out goes the Midnight Vigil. Is it lethal? He flashes. I think he just flashed at the Caliban range. Oh, that's absolutely clutch, but for a second time in a row, Direwolves have just done enough to prevent their base from falling.
I'm going to stop speaking. I'm going to stop jinxing. Like, you know, it's very hard to end. Who am I kidding?
Jinxing with jinxing game, dude, it's too easy at this point.
Direwolves are doing a really, really good job to defend. I think that Katsuri's spacing really well. Like, he's always just playing on the max range while outputting as much DPS as possible. Like, Karthus is a really unsung hero champion, because like he dies and he clears the wave, and he's just outputting so much damage with the Rec Room and the fire. And as you can see, like, Katsuri is just skirting danger extremely well, and he lands a very clutch ult here. Like very nice flash by Raze there to get out of range, so he's unable to follow up with the Caliban.
That's crazy. Very close. Definitely a game of inches. That could have been a bit of a disaster if Raze had fallen down again. A lot of gold to continue to go over him from the shutdown.
He lost the pages.
He did.
It's tragic.
It's a very sad day, unfortunately. It is a very sad day. Still is incredibly strong. It's been a bit of a mid-gap, to say the least. He's certainly showcased his ability. And the experiment, so to speak, of the global pressure. The Pantheon's strong early, but hasn't really been able to find much more later on.
Yeah, this was just like the time with the point I mentioned in draft, where like Karthus isn't really going to help you snowball. Like, as the Pantheon, and you need to snowball. So that's the only sad thing about like Pantheon in this draft, is he's got no buddy to take over the game. He's kind of just like a protector for the Karthus. And like, unfortunately, they weren't able to reach a point where Karthus was strong enough to like come help in the mid.
This be the case. No wings available for Mayfan, so no respawn this time around with that passive. He is the focus. He drops down low. In jumps the Pantheon again, but instantly gets knocked back then as a result of the Xin Zhao ultimate. Moonlight Vigil looking to be teased that he's got the double weapon set up for it. He's just waiting for them to group up and snipe them down all low. Biding his time, dropping down the sentry turrets, waiting for everything inside his base to fall on down, and they might be winning this fight as a result. It's only an exposed Nexus, but out goes the Moonlight Vigil with the Requiem. Is that a triple kill? They rush for the end. They say, we might lose this game, guys. Just rush for the end. And I don't know what it is, man, but like Antic, they are winning, but there are some very, very dicey moments.